All right, today we're going to tackle a really fascinating and honestly often costly challenge. How do you correctly price real estate in seasonal ski markets? For agents listing properties in places like Breckenridge or Vail, getting this wrong can literally be the difference between a quick sale and a listing that just sits there collecting dust all summer long. So, how do you avoid that mistake? Let's dig in.
So what are we looking at here? This number, negative 18%. This is the median home price drop in Summit County, Colorado, from the peak in Q1 of 2024 to the low in Q3. We are talking about a drop from $785,000 down to $642,000 in just a few months. Yeah, a drop like that, it's enough to make your stomach churn.
But here's the thing. That 18% drop, it wasn't a market crash. Nope, it was a predictable, seasonal swing that happens year after year. It's a pattern that's tied directly to the calendar, and it catches so many great agents totally by surprise. And this brings us to a really crucial question that every single agent in a seasonal market has got to ask themselves.
This is the real head scratcher, isn't it? I mean, as an agent, you're trained to pull the most recent comparable sales. You pull comps from February to price a home in June, and you feel totally confident. But in a ski market, that confidence can be, well, completely misplaced. So how is it possible that comps just a few months old can be so wrong? Well, it all comes down to a flawed assumption. We assume, that recent transactions reflect current market conditions. It's the bedrock of what we do. But in these seasonal markets, that fundamental rule of real estate pricing, it just breaks down. So what is this flawed assumption that's leading so many good agents astray? And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. This single sentence explains everything. In a place like Breckenridge or Steamboat Springs, a sale from January carries this huge seasonal premium that is completely vanished by July. A January comp doesn't reflect July's market value at all. And that's because you're not just selling in a different season, you are literally selling to a completely different type of buyer. And this breaks it down perfectly. In the winter, you've got your vacation buyers and your short-term rental investors. They are motivated by the return on investment, that ski season cash flow, and they come in with much higher budgets. But come summertime, that buyer pool is gone. It's replaced by lifestyle folks who are there for the hiking and fishing. And, this is key, they're bargain hunters. They are just way more price sensitive. So you're not just dealing with a change in the weather, you're dealing with a fundamental shift in the entire market. All right, so to see how this actually plays out in the real world, let's walk through a classic scenario. This is a story about a 2-bedroom condo in Breckenridge and a really well-intentioned agent who made a very common and very, very costly mistake. Okay, so the agent gets the listing in June. They do what any good agent would do. They pull the most recent comps. Of course, they're all from January through March, right at the peak of ski season. Based on those sales, they confidently recommend a list price of $440,000. And what happens? Crickets. The listing just sits there for over 2 months with almost no showings. The seller's getting nervous, the agent is pulling their hair out, and everybody's just wondering, what on earth went wrong? Here's what went wrong. The agent was looking at the wrong set of data entirely. The winter comps? Yeah, they were in that 420 to 465 range, but the reality of the summer market, based on what sold the previous summer, was way down between 350 and 390. That is a massive 15 to 20% seasonal swing that was completely missed, all because the agent was using data from the wrong season. So how do you avoid making that exact same mistake? Well, the answer is actually in a simple but really powerful tool. We call it the Colorado Seasonal Pricing Framework. But before we get to the framework itself, just look at this. This chart from AirDNA shows that for a typical short-term rental in Summit County, a staggering 72% of all annual revenue comes in between November and March. This is the aha moment. This is the data that explains why a winter investor is willing to pay a premium. They're buying a cash-flowing machine right at its peak earning potential. And this framework is how we make sense of all this. You've basically got 3 distinct seasons. You have the peak season, November to March, dominated by those investors paying the highest prices, a premium of 15 to even 30%. Then you have the off-season, June through August, where lifestyle buyers are hunting for the lowest prices. And right in between, you've got the shoulder seasons, which kind of act as a bridge and often give you the most accurate baseline for a property's year-round value. Okay, so how can you actually put this framework into practice? Let's break it down into a few simple, actionable takeaways for smarter pricing. Think of this as your new mental checklist. First up, always check the dates on your comps. It's not enough for them to be recent, they have to be from the same season you're listing in. Next, really understand who you're selling to right now. Are they investors or are they bargain hunters? Then you need to consciously adjust your pricing up or down based on where you are on that calendar. And finally, and this is the real secret sauce, you have to proactively explain this whole seasonal dynamic to your seller. This doesn't just build trust, it makes sure you're both on the same page from day one.
So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. In a seasonal market, a comp isn't just a dot on a map. It's a point in time. It's not just about what's sold nearby, but when it's sold and what that specific timing means for the value of a property today. And this is where having the right tools can make all the difference. A tool like CMA Flow can help you create reports that actually show these shifts over time, giving you the transparency you need to have these conversations with total confidence.
So if you're ready to really master the art of seasonal pricing, you can see how it all works for yourself. Just head on over to claimaflow.ai and you can start your trial today. Thanks so much for watching.